The mighty Euphrates River, with its potential drying up, is seen as a biblical prophecy signaling the end of times and the second coming, along with various secrets kept within its bed. What secrets are held within the beds of this mighty river? A mountain of gold or invasion and the return of Yeshua to save us. Not only is the Euphrates River beautiful with breathtaking sights, but there is a lot of historical significance centered around the river. For example, multiple ancient cities lived along the riverside, including Sapar, Dnieper, Surapak, Mari, Uar, and Urkuk. Water was wealth. It provided fertile agricultural soil for the communities along the river. But now, that source of wealth is dwindling. Going back in history, the first time the Euphrates River was mentioned was in cuneiform text found in Shurapak and Pre-Sargonic Nippur. It dates to the 3rd millennium BCE and was referred to as Bura Nuna, an ancient Sumerian word. The river is spelled similarly to Sapar, an ancient city located in modern-day Iraq. It's likely the city and the river were connected in importance and divinity. Specifically, the Euphrates is a long river that symbolizes the end of the world in the Christian Bible. The Euphrates River is significant. This river, when it dries out, is a sign that the end times are coming. According to some people, the Garden of Eden was located between the Tigris and the Euphrates. The Bible predicts that, in the last days, the Euphrates River will dry up to prepare the way for the kings of the east to pass through. The river itself is a massive land barrier that would hinder any army from advancing east to west. At more than 1,800 miles long and an average of 300 yards wide, the Euphrates River has been a substantial source of life in the region. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east, Revelation 16 verse 12. The Bible doesn't say who the kings of the east are, and biblical scholars and theologians have different ideas about who they are. One popular interpretation is that the kings of the east are a reference to the rise of China and other Asian nations as powerful political and economic entities. John predicts in Revelation 9 verses 16 to 18 that these kings of the east will boast a standing army of 200 million. This is a bold prophecy, especially considering that, at the time of writing, there weren't 200 million people on the planet. However, as of today, China has an army of more than 200 million, just as the Bible predicted. Whatever the kings of the east are, they are seen as a formidable force in the end times and will be part of the final battles before the return of Jesus. Either way, this massive army will need to cross the Euphrates River on their way to the Valley of Armageddon. The War of the Eastern Kings will involve the most valuable resource in the world, gold. Recently, a video showed gold miners around the Euphrates River, and what was surprising was that the gold was scattered like stones. Is this the golden mountain that the prophet foretold? The prophet Muhammad prophesied, soon the Euphrates River will disclose the treasures of gold, so whoever will be present at that time should not take anything of it, hadith narrated by Sahih Bukhari. Judging from the video, miners take gold very easily, with the size of gold being the size of a pebble. It can be ascertained that there's a large gold source around the location. If this golden mountain did exist, it would surely cause great enmity between mankind. The Euphrates River and the Golden Mountain that shocked the world gave a signal that the apocalypse was near, as the Prophet Muhammad said, "When Euphrates River dries up in this country, the drying up and the gold mountain of the Euphrates River is a clear fulfillment of Bible prophecy and a sign that we must be ready for Jesus' return." Matthew 24 verse 44. As stated in the Bible, "Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect." Many times, events that occurred in the past are shadows of events that will happen in the future. This is the reason the Bible is considered alive. Not only may an exact event happen in the past, but it can and oftentimes will occur again. Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, "Loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates," and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of man. Revelation 9 verses 14 to 15, King James Version. There will be a time when we will see a third of men dying for a year, a month, a day, and an hour. Please remember that although we may see things occur in the natural, we must also observe what this would mean in the spiritual realm. We cannot simply look at this as, oh, the river dried up. Spiritually speaking, what else does this mean? Let us look at what the Bible reveals about water. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Revelation 17 verse 15, KJV. The Bible states that waters represent people and a multitude of different speaking nations. If we look at our world today, we are noticing a growing number of people in favor of evil. This is not found in just one part of the world, it is rampant. The kingdom of darkness has been influencing people to participate in evil, and clearly, we see it advancing. The scripture in verse 16:12 mentions it prepares the way for the kings of the east. If we look at this in nature, let us first observe where we find the river Euphrates. It begins in the country of Turkey and travels through to the southern portion of Iraq. So if we look at all the countries to the east of Israel, we will notice these countries are often recognized as countries that do not get along with them. This includes Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Jordan, to name a few. But if we look at the meaning of the drying of the river spiritually, we can see it can also be applied to many people of different nations that are against the people of God. This would also include Christians, not only Israel. Our spiritual enemy does not like the chosen people of God, known as the Jews, nor the followers of Christ. Spiritually speaking, the drying up of the river is also symbolic for the severed connection or separation to the one who gives life. The one who gives life is God. As the time approaches for the Lord's return, we can see there is a clear distinction being made between his followers and the ones who oppose him. If you notice in the following verse 17, it says they will hate and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. Revelation 17 verses 16-17, King James Version. There represents the Antichrist spirit that influences them to betray, or in other words, be unfaithful to the one Lord. The beast is a system or way of doing things. These people supported the system or a way of doing things, but they will see this as wrong and will turn against it and begin to destroy it due to the hardness of heart. These people played a part in supporting and setting up the dark kingdom. These people who supported the Babylon system will withdraw their support because they realize they were deceived. Although naturally, we see the river dried up, now the spiritual portion has not been fulfilled yet. Do you think it's a coincidence that the river is dry? Not likely. There are no coincidences when we are speaking about prophecies in the Bible. In the former inhabitants of the floodplain lands of Iraq utilized the waters of the great Euphrates for at least 6,000 years. By doing so, empires dependent upon irrigated agriculture flourished and then decayed, leaving behind spectacular ruins practically throughout Mesopotamia. Until the time of the Second World War, Iraq was the only country within the Euphrates basin that made large demands on the water resources of the river. Since that time, Iraq's demand has continued to increase, resulting in average water withdrawals of over 16 million square meters per year during the 1960s. This figure represents about 45% of the average annual discharge of the Euphrates into Iraq. Since the mid-1960s, both Syria and Turkey have planned major dam schemes to utilize the waters of the Euphrates. The Tabqa Dam in Syria and the Keben Dam in Turkey have already been constructed, and Turkey has planned other major hydraulic works along its section of the river. When the irrigation projects associated with these schemes are in full operation towards the end of the century, it seems that the likely demand for water will be in excess of the available flow of the river. The country likely to suffer the most as a result of this is Iraq, owing to its situation in the lowest part of the basin. Already, diplomatic relationships between Syria and Iraq have been severely strained as a result of disagreements about the allocation of the water resources of the river Euphrates. In the future, such disputes seem possible to continue and perhaps become of increasing severity as both Turkey and Syria begin to use large proportions of the available river flow for irrigation. The river is causing people's greed to rise and kill each other. The year 2023 will be the year of transitions and rebirths, when the rivers run dry all at once and reveal terrifying secrets. Especially when the United States, a superpower, is facing a shortage of water and food. Meanwhile, Asian countries are gradually developing and boosting their economies. The prophecies are gradually being fulfilled, and doom is near. If you're interested in outer space and the world's mysteries, you can choose to watch the following videos on our channel. Be sure to leave a comment below to let us know what you think of today's content. Again, we thank you very much. We hope to see you again next time. From all of us here, until then, be careful and be safe.